You've probably heard 100 times that less is more, that it's time to clear things out, pare things down, make space for what matters. And while there's truth in that, there's something no one ever seems to say loud enough. Some things are meant to stay, especially now, especially in this chapter of life when every object isn't just a thing, but a story, a heartbeat, a memory. You see, decluttering isn't just about tossing the old to make room for the new. It's not about living with as little as possible or turning your home into a showroom. For you, it's something more delicate. It's about protecting the threads of your life, even as you simplify the space around you. That's why I want to gently remind you there are some things you should never feel pressured to throw away. 14 things, in fact, that may look small or ordinary, but they hold extraordinary value. These aren't just possessions, they're part of who you are. They carry your laughter, your tears, your lessons, your love, and today we're going to honor them. Let's start with the quiet witness to your life, your old photographs, even the blurry ones, the ones with bent corners, faded colors, people you haven't seen in decades. There's something sacred about holding a photo in your hands. It's a doorway back in time. The moment your first child was born, that family reunion where everyone wore matching t-shirts and half of them complained the whole time, your wedding day, your graduation, or that vacation to the mountains you still talk about. These photographs don't just capture faces. They capture your life, the journey you've walked, the relationships that shaped you. Even the painful ones have a place in the story. So don't let anyone talk you into tossing them out just because they're not digital. Those pictures are proof that you lived fully, that you loved deeply, and that you still remember. And then there are the letters, the birthday cards, the love notes, the handwritten recipes with tomato sauce stains on the corner. There's something about handwriting, isn't there? It's like the soul of the person still lives in the curves and loops of their penmanship. You can almost hear their voice again, a child's crooked scrawl that says, "I love you, Grandma." A letter from your spouse during a hard season, reminding you that you're not alone. A holiday card from a friend who's no longer here. You can't replace that. No email or text message can ever hold the same warmth. These aren't scraps of paper. They're little pieces of your emotional landscape. They comfort you. They connect you to those who've gone before. And one day, they may comfort someone else too. Now think about the tools or supplies from a hobby you used to love or maybe still do. Maybe it's a dusty sewing machine that hasn't hummed in a while, or those old fishing lures sitting quietly in the garage. Maybe it's paintbrushes, knitting needles, sheet music. These aren't just objects. They're symbols of joy, of who you were when no one was watching, of the quiet hours you spent creating, building, learning, relaxing, even if you haven't picked them up in years. Don't let guilt push you into getting rid of them, because every time you pass by that shelf or open that drawer, a soft whisper of the joy those hobbies brought you. That matters. You don't have to be productive for something to be worth keeping. Some things are worth saving simply because they remind you of who you are when you're most at peace. And what about those journals and diaries? Maybe they're half filled. Maybe you wrote in them during your 20s and haven't looked at them in decades, but they carry your inner world, the thoughts and fears and questions that once filled your days. They may feel private, even silly now, but one day they might become precious windows into your spirit. Even if no one ever reads them, they've served a beautiful purpose. They've held your secrets when you didn't feel safe sharing them out loud. They've helped you process joy and loss. And if you ever do choose to share them, they could be a powerful gift for your children or grandchildren, proof that you too wrestled, wondered, dreamed. Now, let's talk about the family heirlooms. Not just the valuable ones, but the quirky ones too. Maybe it's a chipped teacup that belonged to your great aunt, a tarnished locket, a strange little figurine that used to sit on your grandmother's windowsill. These aren't just things, they're carriers of lineage. Hold them, and you're holding a story that goes back generations. Someone once loved them enough to keep them, then passed them to you. That's not just inheritance, that's legacy. It's okay if others don't understand why they matter. You do, and sometimes that's more than enough. And what about your favorite books? The ones you've read so many times you could recite the lines, or the ones that changed the way you thought about the world. These are more than just words on a page. They're teachers, friends, mirrors. They shaped you, they comforted you, they challenged you. You don't need a library full of them. but keep the ones that carry your heart. And here's an idea. Write a little note inside each one, something simple. This book made me laugh during a hard year. This one reminded me to forgive. Someday, someone you love might read it and feel closer to you. Books can outlive us, but when we leave a trace of ourselves behind, they carry us forward too. Let's pause on that thought, not to stop the story, but to let it sink in. You're not just sorting through objects. You're deciding what parts of your life deserve a sacred place in the future. And that's not a small task. It's an act of love for yourself and for those who will one day walk through the rooms you once called home. Now picture this, a yellowed recipe card tucked behind a cookbook. The ink has faded in spots. There's a stain in the corner from where the sauce boiled over that one Thanksgiving, but the recipe still works like magic. It's your mother's meatloaf or your father's favorite pie crust. Maybe it's your own creation, something you made every Sunday for years. Whatever it is, it carries more than ingredients. It carries tradition, a rhythm, a memory of voices laughing in the kitchen and someone sneaking a bite before it was ready. These aren't just meals, they're edible stories, and someone in your family, whether now or in the future, will be grateful you saved them. Even if they never cook that recipe, they'll see your handwriting and feel like you're right there beside them, guiding the spoon. You might have jewelry that hasn't been worn in years, a necklace from your wedding day, a ring your father gave your mother. Maybe it's costume jewelry, nothing valuable by market standards, but it sparkles with meaning. You remember how you felt wearing it, how it made you stand a little taller, smile a little wider. Don't let anyone make you feel like it's silly to keep it. Jewelry often holds quiet power. Even the smallest pendant can carry decades of love, identity, or memory. And one day, someone you love might wear it and think of you. That's not clutter, that's connection. Now let's talk about something often overlooked, the certificates, the awards, the plaques from your working days, your military service, your volunteer hours, your retirement celebration. Maybe they've been sitting in a drawer for years, but they matter. They mark the chapters where you gave your time, your skills, your heart. They remind you and others that your life has had weight, that your contributions didn't vanish just because the job ended or the uniform was folded away. Don't be too quick to let them go. They're reminders of your purpose, your discipline, your courage, and they just might inspire the next generation to walk a little taller in their own lives. Think, too, about the things that were made by hand. The quilt your sister stitched together, the cross stitch from a dear friend, the scarf your grandchild made in art class, a little uneven but full of pride. These pieces were crafted with love. They hold energy. Human hands made them just for you. And even if they don't match the decor anymore or have a few loose threads, they're worth keeping because every time you touch them, you remember the person behind them. You remember being loved. And what about your partner's belongings? If you've lost someone you shared a life with, you know how impossible it feels to part with their things. Maybe it's their old slippers by the door or the watch still resting on the nightstand. Maybe it's a box of shirts that still smells faintly like them. People will tell you to clean it out, make space, move on, but they won't always understand the rhythm of grief. They won't see how that sweater still holds your comfort or how that old photo still steadies your heart. You don't have to rush. You don't have to explain. Keep what warms you. Keep what helps you breathe. One day, when you're ready, you'll know which pieces are meant to stay and which can be passed along with love. But for now, it's okay to hold on. And while some may say extras are just clutter, there's a special kind of comfort in knowing you have what you need when you need it. An extra set of towels for when guests stop by. A few more batteries than necessary. That second pair of scissors because the first always disappears when you need it most. These are small things, but they carry peace of mind. They make daily life easier, more manageable, especially as we get older and running out to the store isn't always so simple. So no, you don't need to toss every duplicate just to have fewer things. Sometimes the wise choice is keeping what makes your life flow more smoothly. And let's not forget the important paperwork. It might be stuffed in a drawer or tucked in a file cabinet, but things like birth certificates, old insurance policies, medical histories, home records, they matter. They might not bring joy, but they bring clarity when it's needed most. And they can save your loved ones tremendous stress one day. Keep them organized, labeled, and in one place. Make it a small project if you can, a kindness to your future self, or to someone who may one day need to help on your behalf. That too is an act of love. Now, here's where it all comes together. You don't need to justify keeping something that brings you comfort or warmth or memory. You don't need to follow anyone else's rules for what a home should look like. You've earned the right to shape your space in a way that feels good to you. There are no awards for having the emptiest house, but there is something deeply honorable about choosing to surround yourself with things that reflect your journey, your values, your heart. Decluttering is not erasing, it's refining. It's saying, this matters, this stays, this tells my story. You're not just clearing space, you're curating a life, and you're doing it with grace. Sometimes what others call clutter is really a collection of living reminders, threads that connect the past to the present. And nowhere is that more evident than in your bookshelf. Not just any books, but the ones that have walked with you through decades. The novel you read while recovering from surgery, the devotional that brought peace during a storm, the dog-eared cookbook with penciled-in notes from your mother. These books aren't taking up space, they're holding it for you. They're companions, mentors, windows into who you were and who you've become. And even if your eyesight isn't what it used to be, or your hands grow tired faster than before, you don't have to read them to remember what they meant to you. Sometimes just seeing their spines, running your hand along the shelf is enough to bring that sense of calm, of continuity, of still being you. That's the power of things that hold meaning. They don't demand, they just remind. And yet there's always that little voice in the back of your mind when you start sorting, telling you to let go of the things you haven't used in a while, the gadgets, the extras, the sentimental oddities. But here's a gentle truth. Not everything has to be useful to be valuable. Some things are worth keeping simply because they make you feel safe or seen or understood. Maybe it's a holiday ornament your grandchild made with glitter and glue, or the music box your partner gave you on your anniversary, even if it no longer plays quite right. Maybe it's an old postcard you sent yourself from a trip just to prove you were there. These aren't messes, they're memory anchors, and in a world that can change so quickly, they're grounding. When you hold an item and it brings a smile or even a tear, that's not a sign to let go. That's a sign it still has work to do. Work in your heart, in your story, in the legacy you're slowly shaping with every quiet decision you make. Now, there's one more thing to consider, and it may be the most important of all, yourself. You are not a burden to manage. You are not someone who needs to disappear behind empty shelves and bare countertops. You are still here, you are still growing, and everything you choose to keep is a reflection of what still matters to you. So when you look around and wonder if you're doing it right, remember this: there is no perfect way to declutter, but there is a right way for you. And that starts by asking, not should I toss this, but does this still matter to me? Because the truth is, what you keep is part of how you speak. It's part of how you pass on not just possessions, but presence, not just items, but insight, love, legacy. Decluttering doesn't mean forgetting. It means deciding with care, with clarity, with love. So when you come across that old blanket folded in the back of the closet, the one you use to wrap your baby in or keep by the fireplace for movie nights, you don't have to explain why it's staying. It's staying because it matters, because it holds warmth, not just in fabric, but in memory. And when someone asks why you've held on to 3 can openers or a collection of mugs from every state you've visited, you don't need to justify it. Maybe they all still work, or maybe they remind you that you've lived a wide and beautiful life. That matters too. What might look ordinary to someone else may be a treasure to you. And in your home, you get to define what treasure means. That's the beauty of this time in life. You've earned the right to decide for yourself, to trust your instincts, to hold space for your history while still creating space for your peace. You are not just organizing a home, you are preserving a life. And one day when your children or grandchildren open that drawer or step into that room, they won't just see things, they'll see you. They'll see the way you lived, what you valued, how you found joy. They'll find notes in the margins, recipes in your handwriting, photographs where you're laughing, records of a life well loved. And that will mean more than you'll ever know. So let this be your permission slip to keep what matters, to protect what speaks to your heart, to let go of what weighs you down, yes, but never out of pressure, only out of peace. You are not holding on too tightly, you are holding on tenderly, and that's a beautiful thing. Sometimes people will walk into your space and ask questions with their eyes, even if their lips stay quiet. Why do you still have this? Why keep that? And they may never understand that what they're pointing to is a chapter of your life, not just an object, but a page from a book that's still being written. That worn apron hanging by the kitchen door, the garden gloves in the shed, even if you haven't planted anything in a few seasons, the newspaper clippings folded neatly in an envelope at the back of a drawer. They may seem small, but they carry echoes. The scent of your first home, the sound of your mother's voice calling you in for dinner, the feel of warm soil in spring after a long winter. These items, these seemingly ordinary things, are portals. They hold time, and when you touch them, time bends. That's not clutter, that's memory in motion. It's not just about things, it's about what those things witnessed. That coat in the closet might still carry the perfume of the person you danced with all night once. That old chair in the corner might still hold the weight of your child curled up in your lap long before they had kids of their own. And yes, maybe the fabric is frayed and the springs creak, but your heart hears the lullaby that was hummed there, the stories that were read aloud, the quiet prayers whispered in that seat when no one else was listening. There's a rhythm to these things, a music only you can hear. So if you're sorting and holding something that makes your chest tighten just a little, that's not a sign to let it go. That's a sign to listen. Maybe it still has something left to offer. Even in the smallest corners of your home, there are signs of your grace. The sewing box you inherited but never used, the candle holder your spouse always lit during holidays, the stack of vinyl records even if you no longer own a record player. These are not forgotten things, they are resting things, quietly keeping their stories until someone is ready to hear them again. And when that time comes, you'll be glad you kept them. Because there is no rule that says usefulness is the only reason to keep something. Sometimes soulfulness is more than enough. That's the part people often miss when they talk about decluttering. They focus on utility, on space, on minimalism, but they forget meaning. They forget feeling. They forget that we are not machines. We are memory keepers. And sometimes a full drawer is not a burden. It's a bouquet of the moments we refuse to lose. So go ahead and keep the photo that's out of focus. Keep the chipped bowl your child gave you in second grade. Keep the jacket you wore when you fell in love. Keep the thing that reminds you of who you were before the world told you who to be. Because those pieces, they're your anchors. And in uncertain times, anchors are blessings. Now, maybe you've been wondering where the line is, what to hold on to and what to release. That answer is yours alone. But it starts with one simple question: does this still feel like part of me? Not have I used it recently, not would someone else want it, but does this still belong to my story? If the answer is yes, then honor it. If the answer is no, then let it go with gratitude, with love, with a whisper of thanks for what it gave you and the quiet permission to move forward without it. You see, letting go doesn't have to mean loss, it can mean completion. You've learned the lesson, you felt the feeling, and now you're making room not just for less, but for better. Better peace, better clarity, better space to breathe and move and welcome what's next. Because this season of life is not about emptying your home, it's about enriching your experience. Choosing what gets to stay close, what deserves a front row seat in the rest of your journey. You're not cleaning out a house, you're composing a love letter to your life. Every item you keep is a sentence in that letter. Every drawer you organize is a paragraph. Every decision you make is a punctuation mark. And when it's all said and done, what remains will not be clutter. It will be your story, beautifully told through the quiet language of cherished things. And those who come after you, who step into your space one day and see what you chose to keep, will understand more about you than any biography could explain. They'll touch your books and hear your voice. They'll open your boxes and find laughter, courage, and tenderness packed carefully inside. They'll see you, not just who you were, but who you still are. And that is the true art of mindful decluttering. Not wiping the slate clean, but highlighting the parts of the painting that still glow, letting the colors that shaped you remain bold, preserving the strokes that give your life its texture. So take your time, trust your heart, let the rhythm of your memories guide you, and remember this: you are not too sentimental, you are not holding on too long, you are choosing with wisdom to protect what still has breath in it. And that's not just okay, that's sacred. There will always be people who tell you to be practical, to pare down, to be ruthless in your decluttering. They'll quote articles, books, even celebrities, but what they won't understand is that your home isn't a storage unit. It's a living archive, a museum of love, laughter, resilience, and everything you've walked through. You don't need to apologize for the way you've carried your life. You don't need to defend the way you've chosen to hold on. Because you know what's practical too? Keeping things that help you remember who you are, holding close what lifts your spirit, surrounding yourself with tokens of comfort, courage, and continuity. It is just as practical to protect your peace as it is to make space in a closet. You might still have a little collection of something that used to bring you joy. Maybe it's stamps or postcards or tiny porcelain animals, each one with its own story. They might be tucked away in a box or arranged neatly on a shelf. When you see them, you remember something playful in yourself, something alive. That spark deserves to stay. Joy deserves to take up space. Or maybe you've kept a handwritten list of dreams you once made, places you wanted to go, things you hope to try. Even if time has reshaped those dreams, they're still sacred. They show you who you were and who you might still become in ways you never expected. You don't have to throw those papers away just because life took a different path. In fact, sometimes they help you find your way back to yourself. There might be moments when you look around your home and wonder if it's too much, if the drawers are too full, if the shelves are too crowded, and maybe it's time for a little editing, a gentle reset. But remember, editing is not erasing. You can simplify without stripping away the heart. You can let go without forgetting. And the things you choose to keep, they're not just leftovers, they're chosen companions for the road ahead. Maybe you've already given away things. Maybe some days you question if you gave away too much. Maybe someone else helped you decide what stayed and what went. If you feel a twinge of loss over what's no longer here, that's okay. That feeling means you're human. It means the item mattered, and it's never too late to reclaim what matters now. Whether it's a new memory, a new tradition, or simply a new way of honoring the past, you can always begin again. What truly matters in this stage of life isn't how tidy your house is. It's how gentle your heart is with yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about peace. It's not about having less. It's about keeping what gives you more comfort, more clarity, more connection to your own soul. Let yourself walk through your home as if you're walking through a storybook. Touch the frames, the fabrics, the trinkets. Let them speak to you. Some will say, "I've done my part. You can let me go now." Others will say, "I'm still needed. I still make you smile. I still bring you home to yourself." You'll know the difference. You'll feel it in your chest, in your breath, in your bones. Because the wisdom of a long life isn't just found in what you've let go of, it's found in what you've lovingly chosen to keep. Not out of fear, but out of meaning, out of reverence, out of respect for the roads you've walked and the lessons you've learned. You've spent a lifetime gathering pieces of your story. This isn't the time to discard the soul of it. This is the time to preserve the essence, to simplify, yes, but to simplify with tenderness, with discernment, with care. And when the time comes for someone else to walk through your home long after your footsteps have quieted, they will not see clutter. They will see love. They will see life. They will see you. They'll open that box of cards and run their fingers over your handwriting. They'll find the photo of you at 20 grinning in front of a car you were proud to own. They'll notice the book on the shelf with your favorite passage underlined and wonder what you were feeling when you marked it. They'll hold the scarf you wore every winter, still faintly scented with your perfume. And in those moments, they will know you more fully, they will love you more deeply, and they will carry you forward in ways you never imagined. That is why this matters. That is why you get to say, no, this stays, because this still holds light. This still speaks my name. So trust yourself, trust your heart. And when you declutter, do it with reverence. Do it like someone writing the final chapter of a book that will be read again and again by those who come after. Leave room for the next generation to discover your depth, your humor, your tenderness, your soul. Because you, dear one, are not a pile of things. You are a story, a miracle, a memory in motion. And every meaningful item you choose to keep, that's just one more way the world will remember your love.